This is Jerry the King Lawler, and you're listening to another wrestling podcast. I don't know why you're listening, but you are.
It's time for another wrestling podcast.
Are you ready to beat the man? You have to beat the man. The champ is here. Yes, the man. Give me a hell yeah. What the Rock is cooking. Woo. Yes. Woo. What? Yes. Woo, woo, woo. What you gonna do when Hulkamania destroys you?
For the benefit of those with flash photography,
Would you please shut the hell up? Oh, yes! Ooh, yeah!
that was what was best for business.
The kid to dig that sucker! And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. Have a nice day!
With your hosts, Steve Credo and Jonathan Benjamin.
All right, everybody, welcome to another wrestling podcast. I'm Jonathan Benjamin.
And I'm Steve Credo.
Steve, it is episode number 53. That means we have broken the year mark. So suck that, everybody who didn't think we'd make it past episode 1.
It's like our anniversary almost.
It is.
Well, it is our anniversary, actually.
It is, yeah. I would ask if you got me anything, but I know that you didn't.
I figured you'd get me something, so I didn't get you anything.
This is ridiculous. Anybody? I'm gonna start looking maybe for people that'll just give me things because Steve's never doing that. Yeah. Today is a huge show, as they all are, but I think today is even bigger than huge. Maybe giant-sized show today.
Hey, I know I'm big boned, but you don't have to make fun of me, buddy.
Wow. I wasn't really talking about that, but all those issues aside, today we have an amazing guest. Best show ever material. Brodus Clay, Tyrus from Impact Wrestling will be joining us today.
The Funkasaurus?
Yeah, I don't know that we'll call him that. He may not be so happy with that, but Steve, I'm going to get right into it. Obviously, you're a big fan, no pun intended.
Wait a minute. I'm a big fan or I'm a big fan?
You're a big fan of Giants.
That's biggest. You're biggest.
Yeah, you're the biggest fan of Giants.
I love the big guys, and holy crap, that doesn't sound great. I love the Giants, Jonathan. I love the Giants. Well, not the New York Giants, but Giants in general in wrestling. That's right.
So
there's no right way of saying any of that.
No, there's really not. But so we're talking Giants today. No surprise there after all of that. But let's get into this today. In the WWE and all over the world, there are some giants in professional wrestling. So let's talk about some of the current giants and how they maybe stack up against some of the past giants.
Sure. Well, you have the Big Show. Let me just read off some of the current ones because that's what we're going to be talking about. So you have the Big Show, Jonathan. Kane. Well, the Great Khali may be semi-retired or coming back, but the Great Khali, he's still out there somewhere. Mark Henry and Brodus right now in TNA. So, I mean, I can't think of anything right now off the top of my head. Maybe, hell, you could even throw Brock Lesnar as being like a giant beast or whatever. But I mean, that's pretty much the landscape almost. Maybe we missed one or whatever. But I mean, those are your giants right now, Jonathan. I don't know. I'm not too. I don't know. I'm a loss for words with this.
Okay. Well, I mean, we have Big Show, who is obviously a giant. When they first brought him in, we're talking WCW days. They brought him in, and he was pretty much unstoppable, right?
That's the way giants should be.
Okay,
unstoppable.
Well, easy, fella. I can see you're starting to almost go Hulk on
I know.
me here. All right. So Big Show is something. He was kind of a throwback, really, because no one had seen something like Big Show at that time period. And he came in. I just remember the size comparison. Like they would show. He had the big hair. He almost looked like a lion. He had this huge hair, and he came in and he was picking up Rey Mysterio Jr. and just throwing him.
And Rey was really tiny. He was a lot thinner, skinnier back then too. So it looked like he was throwing like a little kid into something. Yeah, those were the days.
So I mean, they definitely had something with him, and I don't know if it was the fact that WWE's talent was just larger by the time that he came to WWE, or if because he still had the big hair whenever he debuted in WWE, but from that moment, once he got into WWE, we've seen a different Big Show, really.
Yep.
And he's kind of lost some of that giant appeal, if you will.
That's it, man. You're going to get me started on this because it's, in pro wrestling, giants need to be booked as giants. They really shouldn't lose. They certainly shouldn't be body slammed every match. You know what I mean? It has to be special to pick these guys up. But they ruined it to where, John Cena's picking them up over the shoulders, throwing them like nothing. Brock Lesnar did that, but that's, a different story. Brock Lesnar's Brock Lesnar. But to where Big Show was technically Andre the Giant 2.0. Still not as tall as Andre, but he's huge. Obviously, you look at him. But he just wasn't used like a giant, and I don't know if it's just the times are changing or what. Because Andre, I think, would roll over in his grave if he knew how the Big Show's career turned out, in my opinion, because like you said, Jonathan, when he came in, he was dominating. He was big. He was throwing little guys around. And as through the time, as he's gotten, well seasoned, he's just become, he's a good guy one day, bad guy next. People are body slamming him, or at least picking him up every show, or doing something to where, that was a big feat back then. Now it's just another Sunday just to pick him up, and that's what pisses me off.
Well, I think that something that's a little different between then and now, and when I say then, I'm talking, 10 years ago. But like you mentioned Kane earlier. So when Kane came in, he was masked, head to toe in his like pleather outfit, but there was some mystique about Kane. You didn't know a lot about the guy. Paul Bearer came in and said he was Undertaker's brother, but there was still something about him that you didn't get the whole picture.
Yeah.
And even with Great Khali, he's from Punjab, India. He comes in, he's this giant, and no one really knows anything about him. But now it seems like everybody knows everything about everyone.
Yeah.
And, back whenever Vince McMahon was promoting and trying to, create these larger-than-life characters, it was guarded. You didn't know their favorite ice cream.
Yep.
You didn't know what their favorite movie was. And now with Kane Kane's a huge guy. But with the corporate Kane, he doesn't have a mask. He's just kind of hanging out. And it makes him seem, I guess, weaker, but it also makes him not seem like a giant. But in comparison to just John Q. Public, he is a giant. So I think that, even though giants still exist in professional wrestling, a lot is left to be desired by them, by their characters. I'm not saying they're not great wrestlers or anything like that. And another one that we talked about, Mark Henry, if I came face to face with him, I would be scared to death, but he's just not striking fear in the wrestling ring to me because, like you said, everybody's picking them up, everybody's throwing them around. And
it's a shame, though, because it's like, you have a lot of guys to be these throw-around guys, kind of, or so to say, and, the bigger guys shouldn't. I'm not saying they should be undefeated for years like Andre, but I'm saying, they shouldn't be slammed every week on a show. Maybe once in a while on a pay-per-view. Make it really big. Make it worth it. Make it worth something, But it's just like, they're not really, people, I think he thinks, or whoever else thinks that, they lost the mystique of being big giants. And I don't think it's lost. I just think they don't know how to write these guys in anymore to where, it used to be the land of the giants. Now it's just, the land of the giants looking for giant work or something. I don't know.
Well, and if you think about what the goal was back when there were giants, it was to sell tickets. And so back in the territory days, your territory would start to get stale after a while. Say your top guy was Hulk Hogan, and then he's the champion for a long time, and then all of a sudden they bring in Andre the Giant. That's going to change everything. People are going to want to see this matchup.
Yeah.
And now that the territories are over and, Vince has a lot of the people, there's not a lot of that's going around. So I think that's a big problem. But speaking of
a big problem.
yeah, see, this is going to just keep... We should, have a counter every time that we hear big or giant or whatever. But in TNA, Impact Wrestling, whatever, they are using our guest today, Tyrus, Brodus Clay, G-Rilla, whatever you want to call the gentleman. They're using him well because he's kind of Ethan Carter's bodyguard.
Yeah.
You're not hearing a lot from him by design, but he comes in, he takes charge, and that's pretty much it. And that's what you need with a Giant.
That's right. And that's perfect. I mean, if you even talk about his debut, though, because, I mean, people built it up on social media like, oh, he's going to be this beast. Like, we knew who he was from NXT, and he was off TV for a little bit, getting, repackaged. And we were like, sweet. He reminded me of, King Kong Bundy. But, with today's, funk and whatever, gel, mixed into today's day. And I think he had that great look. He was a monster guy that could have been used as a monster, but when they brought him out, it's Vince McMahon giving him the dancing gimmick again, and I don't get why they love the dancing gimmick so much. And granted, it works for very few people. I don't know. It worked for him, but it didn't work for him. But I don't know. I think I was just down because I really wanted him to come out as like a King Kong Bundy type of heel, and it just didn't happen. And I think that's where it made me sour when he re-debuted in the WWE. But like you said, TNA is using him correctly for the way he looks, and that's what's great.
Well, it seems like you're definitely on the warpath here. Mild-mannered Fox News editor turns into crazed professional wrestling fan. So you keep talking about King Kong Bundy. I don't know if it's a man crush or what you've got going on, but
one day he'll be on the show, Jonathan. One day,
absolutely.
It's just going to take 5 times to get him on. Hey, get it 5 times.
I got it.
All right.
I got it. You're the Giant aficionado, so. Let's talk about some of the past Giants that made you long for, a better crop of Giants today. Who are some of the people that really got you excited about?
I always loved Bam Bam Bigelow, just because he was huge and you didn't expect him to do the kind of stuff that he did in the ring, just from his little flips and bouncing around, and you just never saw a big guy do that before him, in my eyes at least. Bam Bam was a favorite. The head tattoo, the fire tattoo, how can you beat that? I was always a big fan of his, though. Other ones, though, I remember, did you know, little known fact, Earthquake, John Tenta, he debuted in Poughkeepsie, New York at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center. I don't know if I was there for the actual debut, but as a child, as a little Mark, I remember sitting in the crowd and him coming out from the audience to fight somebody in the ring. And then weeks later, we saw him on TV doing it. So I don't know if that was the debut. I really don't. But this is like honest, it's a memory. So I remember him coming out, seeing him as a kid. I was like, wow, this guy just came out from the audience. Is he part of the show? What's going on? And then we saw him on TV, and I don't know, John Tenta, he's a big guy, but he just, I don't know, he had one of those butter faces, I guess. He got a good size, a good gimmick, but I don't really know what to do with that gimmick you got going on top of your shoulders,
Can I just say that you just said that John Tenta has a butter face, which would imply, if you're using that term correctly, that everything's good but her face. So you're saying that his body's not a problem?
As a giant, theoretically speaking, in the giant term of giant people, he was a perfect giant, but he had that butter face to where he could have came out with a mask.
Keep saying it.
He came out with the mask. Great. I'm gonna have to make a shirt now, I Heart Tenta or something. I Earthquake. You're I don't know, whatever. But yeah, Earthquake. It was great. But he looked just like a regular guy. There was nothing too crazy about him. He just looked like a big fat guy. It looks like he was a guy that had a bowling league, and he was on home betting on football during the weekends or something. But I don't know. Earthquake was another big guy. Another guy that kind of was on his way out when I was really getting into wrestling was Big John Studd. I knew who he was. I knew what he did. But, at the time when I started really getting into it, he was pretty much out the door. So that kind of faded fast. So I never really had too much Big John Studd memories, except for the time he did cut Andre the Giant's hair at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie, New York, our hometown area. It's just little things like that stand out that are stupid. But, those are some of the past big giants I think I can yap about.
So I have to just keep getting back into this. You mentioned Bam Bam, you mentioned Earthquake, you mentioned Kamala, you even mentioned Big John Studd, or Big Jonathan Studd, as he's known today in my house. But those guys were all giants, obviously. But one of the things that's striking to me is that they were legitimately scary.
Yeah.
Whenever they came out, like especially Earthquake when he was feuding with Jake Roberts, or Bam Bam. I mean, anybody who has a tattoo of flames on their skull is somebody that shouldn't be trifled with, as they say. But Kamala, he'd come down slapping his stomach.
Never talked.
Yeah.
It was just you don't need it. That's it. That's all you need.
Yeah, and I mean, if it works, then it works, and that's how everything was so believable. If when used right, Hulk Hogan didn't beat Andre the Giant every single match.
Yeah.
He beat him when it counted. And that's really where it is. It's, you think about Great Khali, and I was there when he had one of these matches against John Cena. And, John Cena absolutely just, picked him up and threw him over his shoulder. And it happened every time. So then after that, you might as well say that Hornswoggle did it because I know John Cena and Hornswoggle are a little different, but it just lost its appeal. So they had longer builds for these things back then as well.
Sure,
not so much now. But.
Yeah. But Jonathan, we talked a lot about giants of the past, a lot of the current giants, including our next guest, Brodus Clay, formerly known as Brodus Clay, now known as Tyrus in TNA, and now also recent news, he will be a part of GFW, Jeff Jarrett's Global Force Wrestling. So we have him coming in the studio right now, and guys, here is Tyrus.
Another wrestling podcast has been looking forward to talking with this guy for a while now. He's one of wrestling's best big men, not only today, but in the past as well. No matter where he wrestles, he's always making an impact. Ladies and gentlemen, we give you Tyrus. Thanks for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm tremendous, man. I'm tremendous. I just coming off 2 successful tours in Qatar, where I was labeled the crown jewel of Qatar, which was nice. And I just literally dominated Australia in Outback Championship Wrestling. I think I left 6 or 7 guys laying. It was a good day, good piece of business. But making my way back home today. So I've been really busy.
We definitely thank you for taking the time to spend with us. Now, getting to travel, that's something that you did a lot of before, but now you seem to be a worldwide sensation. So where are some of the places that you haven't got to go yet that you're looking forward to wrestling in?
Actually, the big target is Japan. Japan is the one place I haven't gone yet, and all the history and tradition with Japan, but I'm also looking for the right situation. Just to go to Japan is not enough. When I feel the time is right to go there, I want to be in a situation where I'm going there to make history. So, like a lot of the big guys before me, back when wrestling was about being big, physical, and strong. You got Stan, Larry Hansen, Dr. Death, Steve Williams, Terry Gordy. Even Vader actually made his bones in Japan, but before that time, Andre the Giant, of course, Bundy. I mean, the Road Legion of Doom in Japan. There was even that awesome tag team of Bruiser Brody and Jimmy Suplex. Look at it. Not a lot of people know about.
Yeah.
But if you ever want to look up some stuff, look at those guys. So there's a lot of history there, and so I would like to be a part of that at one point of my career, and so that's always going to be like that'll be the marquee spot. But otherwise, my training's going great. I'm at Hard Knocks when I'm not wrestling. I'm at Hard Knocks South, and I just actually improved upon my benchmark record, which was nice. So continue to improve and just get better and stay healthy and get as much matches as I possibly can in, which is nice.
Well, and you mentioned about Japan, but you also have to go there. I'm assuming to pick up your Ribera jacket as well.
Right, and I prefer the kick in the door when I get it. So
yeah,
and like I said, and I got some big shoot tagging with Jason Albert. I used to know him affectionately as Sweet Tea. His reputation in Japan is Hall of Fame-esque. So got some big shoes to fill going up there. Spending time with him and hearing his stories and seeing his accomplishments and stuff in Japan. I don't think enough wrestling fans know how great that guy truly is.
Well, you just mentioned something. You said the word wrestling fan. It's evident to us that you are a wrestling fan first and foremost, which is
always so that guy. Yep.
It's very refreshing. Sometimes I think in this business, people are a little bit ashamed to say that, and
not me.
Well, and that's what makes it so great. So I want to ask you, somebody who's in wrestling today and is a fan, what do you think is wrong with wrestling today, the business, and what do you think's right with the business today?
What do I think wrong with wrestling today? I think, like straight up, what I think is wrong with wrestling today, Triple H.
Okay.
Just too much. You have to start the show, you have to be on the show, you have to be the main event. Like, I really think we're not building stars like they should be. I think that, and when I say Triple H, I shouldn't, not him as a person, it's not a personal attack. I'm just saying in terms of, like, wrestling, the GM thing, the mean owner, that thing takes up so much TV time, and does anybody care anymore?
Exactly.
Like, honestly, a crooked GM, oh no. Like, it just to me, I think that just looking at it, that's what is refreshing about TNA, getting away from that. Just having matches and stories. You don't need somebody to come out there and be, it worked when the country was in a recession. We're not in a recession anymore. The bosses, the economy's up, people are making more money. You know what I'm saying? Like, things are good. So it just doesn't fit. And I think, getting back to wrestling, I'm kind of glad they're doing it because I think it's opening the door for so many other companies and stuff. Like, wrestling is starting to become territories again, and I think it's great.
So would you say that that's what's one of the good things about wrestling today is just the amount? I said something today, and this is definitely an interview with you, so I'm not going to take up the time telling you about what I think because it doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, wrestling is a business, and when you go to an ice cream store, you don't have to eat rum raisin if you don't want to. It's a choice that you make. So with professional wrestling today, there's so much out there, and people can pick and choose, and I think that's what's important. That's what
for a while I didn't. It was, as you said, rum raisin, which I don't think on my worst day I'd want that ice cream.
Exactly.
But, for a long time, that's what you got. It was nothing else, And I think New Japan, more fans are able to see that. TNA basically was reborn again hard on Destination America, and it's completely different. And it's the wrestling. And the wrestlers are doing their thing, and the fans are really seeming to be getting a hold of it. ROH is like watching like arena football, saying it's just nonstop action. Like, a lot of the independent programs are just strong by themselves. A lot of people, instead of sitting at home on the TV, like, go on and check out an independent show. You'd be surprised of so much great talent and stuff out there, and entertaining, and it's refreshing in the sense that, like, and a lot of guys, you get when you're in the system or you're in there, you don't think there's anywhere else to go. And man, if you look at myself, you look at Drew, Galloway, you look at like Jinder Mahal, you look at Camacho, aka Malik. Like, there is life after Justin Gabriel, or Danger Wolf or Danger Wolf. I should know that. He's like one of my best
Wolf.
friends. Dare Wolf, my bad, but
No.
I just know him as PJ. But there is a lot of life out there, and there's there's so many things going on, and it's actually a great time to be a wrestler right now.
Now, you mentioned TNA. I definitely want to get into that. It's Destination America Fridays. Now, a lot of people who are watching wrestling, I think they're giving TNA an unfair bias just from what maybe they saw in the beginning. But there's a lot of negativity towards TNA. Is there? Do you think that's warranted, or do you think people just need to hit reset on what they know about TNA?
I think there's always. Here's my thing: if somebody's bitching about something, that means you're watching it. And you're allowed to do that. If you don't like the WWE but you watch it, you can express your opinion. If you're watching TNA and you have issues with it, has TNA made mistakes in the past? Yeah, of course they did. And I think, but it was, I watched. Here's the thing: I was at WWE. I watched TNA, I watched ROH, I watched New Japan, I watched All Japan. Hell, I watch on ESPN Classics. I still watch GWF. You know what I'm saying? Like back when Booker T and his brother were having big feuds with Alex Borto. I mean, I watch wrestling. I enjoy it. And there was a time when I watched TNA, I just didn't know what was going on, and there was a lot going on. But I think transition and stuff helps. But you're going to have growing pains. You're going to have issues. You're going to have down years. Was every year in the WWE great? No. And then something sparks it, and it changes, and people get into it. So I think is it warranted for people to have some negative opinions about TNA? Of course. But if you're a real fan, you ride it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, growing up, I always liked what was going on in WCW and WWE or WWF at the time, and what was going on in Mid-South. No, but I stuck with it. And being disappointed and bugged is part of the process. Like, if you're a fan, I mean, look at the Celtics this year. They made me sick. I divorced them on social media, but I'm still there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And watching Kendrick Perkins throw a pick was so hard for me because I love the Perk, and we never should have got rid of him in the first place. But, I'm a Celtics fan, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Whether I want it or not. You know what I'm saying? I was a Red Sox fan. Used to get my heart broke. Patriots. I mean, things have changed recently for the good, but for the most part, it's been nothing but drama. And as a wrestling fan, and if you're a brand fan, then you ride it out. You go through the good and the bad.
Now, this is something that I wonder from your perspective as well. It seems like with the internet and all of that there's a lot of information that people are getting that maybe in the past they were not getting. There was recently an article about how some people in TNA aren't getting paid. And do you think that the openness of the business is a problem, or do you think that? I
think the openness of America is a problem. Mm-hmm. I think if you have a problem with somebody, or you don't like somebody, or something's wrong, or your check was late, or whatever your situation was, you go to the source. You take accountability and responsibility. Were my checks ever late at TNA or the WWE, or when I worked at Red Lobster when I was in college? Yeah, it happened. Did I go out and post on my Facebook, I didn't get paid today, blah, blah, blah? No, I didn't, because I was a grown-ass man, and you handle disputes and stuff with respect. That's how you get things resolved. I don't read much of the stuff. I technically just see the titles of stuff, and I just either roll my eyes and I keep moving. I don't really care too much for the so-called independent articles, because they're all bias-based stuff from fans, and there's literally there's no there's no resume to write about wrestling. Anybody can write about it,
Yeah.
So it's really not, it's hard to say, like, is there good journalists out there? I'm sure there are. And you hope there are. I mean, just tell the facts or whatever. I think, me personally, people that do that, I hate social media anyways. Like, when I'm done wrestling, I'm off the grid. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, gone. I hate the fact that you always have your phone on your hip. You can't do anything anymore because someone has to know where you're at every 3 seconds.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's ridiculous. Hell no. I can't wait. Is it important in terms of connecting with your fans and getting your name out there and getting things like sponsors and opportunities? Yes, 100%. And I don't use it for personal life. My personal life has never been on any social media or whatever. Like, if you know about me, you know about me, the wrestling character, you don't know nothing about me and my home life. And you shouldn't, because you don't know me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate you're a fan, but I'm not going to go to your house and pick you apart.
No.
You're not going to go to mine.
Now, WWE and TNA are two completely different animals. Is there anything that you can just say, like, right now, the major differences? I'm not talking like, monetarily or anything like that, but
and here's the thing: monetarily, there's the WWE. There's opportunities to earn a crazy amount of money in the right situations.
Yeah.
Has that happened recently for guys? Not really.
Mm-mm.
But TNA, monetarily, you can do pretty well for yourself. I'd say it's probably similar to about the guys are in the middle to make around the same money on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
The big difference is, of course, the WWE is the machine, and you hear that said a lot, but here's the thing. The fans are fans of the WWE. Whoever the WWE puts in front of them, they will cheer and they will do what the WWE. They're the WWE universe. They belong to the WWE. If a big time guy walks, the people don't walk with him.
No.
They tune in next week. So the WWE has become, and I think the powers that be know that, they're the brand. Wrestlers have become almost secondary. Like, you are disposable, and NFL is the same thing. I mean, Tom Brady leaves the Patriots tomorrow. Are we going to stop watching the Patriots? Probably not. We're going to complain about it.
Yep.
We're going to run our mouths and blog or whatever, but still buy a season ticket.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And the WWE has become that. TNA is still about the wrestler.
Okay.
You have to get over, you get over yourself, you get over with wrestling. Like, TNA is still the wrestlers. It's still a wrestler show where you can hit a home run out of the park, or you're not, but it's pretty much on you. And I like that. A healthy mix of the two would be awesome, but you know what I'm saying. But I like the creative control that TNA allows you to have. I like the fact that there's not 7,000 cooks in the kitchen. And probably the biggest thing for me maybe signing with TNA and wanting to be a part of the future was for one reason. When I walk through the gorilla, the first thing that Big says is thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then we worry about the other stuff. But that, to me, went a long way, because for such a long time you walked through the curtain, you just didn't know. And most of the time I went side because I just didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
So, and that doesn't mean just when things are negative, they're negative. And when they say the heat thing and all that, which I think is the stupidest term in the world. You got heat.
Yeah.
Which means to me that they're not man enough to tell you they have a problem with you. So they tell everybody else, which is like high school bullshit. So, never gave a damn about heat. If you can't tell me you have a problem, then, there's 2 letters that you can put them together and figure out what you can do. But there was also, but there was great coaches like, I always said, Arn Anderson, AA, if he wasn't in wrestling, he'd be a head coach at some college. Probably if it was up to him, Georgia, maybe they'd actually win one. But Mike Rotundo, I was an agent guy. Those are the guys. And they were tough on me. And I don't think if I said AA watched, say, 20 of my matches, I could say maybe he would if I was lucky, maybe 5 or 6. He would always find something. And me personally, playing football and stuff like that, that's what I was used to. So I enjoyed that. I didn't have a problem with that. And he was fair. And like I said, he had a catchphrase of how many soaking wet shirts that I throw away, rolling around with you and getting you prepared to be a monster heel. A lot. Like, I spent a lot of time with him. But, Road Dog, I was more into the agent stuff. So that's kind of where I went with that. And I always respected that.
Now, you've gotten to wrestle with a lot of the different people in TNA and around there right now, but who are you looking forward to wrestling that you haven't maybe gotten a chance to wrestle yet?
I was disappointed I didn't get a chance to wrestle with Samoa Joe. He's always somebody that I wanted to work. But as things, as my character develops when we expand and stuff like that, because I'm playing it very old school, I'm only giving the fans a little bit at a time, which is, different. Because people know, well, why is he talking? Because right now my character doesn't want to talk.
Yeah.
But you can say a lot without saying anything. And so I'm having a lot of fun with that. But as far as work the guys out there, oh man. Jeff Jarrett, AJ Styles, I'd like to work. I would like to actually have a wrestling match with Drew. I like that. With McIntyre.
Yep.
Drew. He's definitely somebody that's on the radar. PJ. I'd like to go out with him. There's a lot of guys that we worked in the WWE. We didn't really get a chance to work. So now we're able to do that. So
that's awesome. One of the things, and once again, because of social media, today it was announced and confirmed, I guess, by him, the man himself. But did you, or are you aware that Billy Corgan is now a part of TNA?
Yes. Yeah, I read that this morning. I got an email. So I don't know him, so I haven't met him yet. I just know he had that song 1972 or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool. So, did I buy it? No, I didn't. But I heard it.
Yeah.
It was that one cruising song or whatever. There was a couple songs. I think I don't know how many albums did Smashing Pumpkins do?
Oh,
2?
2 or 3, yeah.
2 or 3, and then do you go on to producing or something afterwards or something?
Yeah, and then
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I was just like, I heard Smashing Pumpkins, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's all right.
Yeah. Well,
So, did he win an MTV award?
I don't know.
Can you research that? You got somebody that can look that up?
I
Google
can.
it?
Yeah, I can get somebody to.
So you can at least say a Grammy, maybe?
Yeah.
Grammy award winning.
Yeah, that would be. I'm going to check into it.
Yeah. Can we get that by the end of the show?
Yes, absolutely.
Turn right.
You anything you
Parent,
want.
somebody around there that can get on Google real quick and. You know what? Is my Wi-Fi on? Let me see if I can punch it up while we're talking here.
So we're
Get to the bottom of this.
It's gonna happen now. While this is happening here, what have your dealings been with the boss there, Dixie? Is she nice? Everybody seems to say she's pretty good. So I'm just wanting to know.
She is a lady, and they are very hands-on in terms of a lot of eye contact, and they talk to you and stuff. And they seem very genuine. And honestly, I really don't have a bad thing to say about TNA's front office since working with them as a whole. If there was an issue, I asked a question and it was answered. Did I always like the answer I got? No, but it was answered. So, and that's all you can ask for.
Absolutely.
But as far as Dixie, she has been just nice and very receptive to me there. And they've allowed me to continue doing what I do. And so yeah, I have no, and honestly, same thing with WWE. My time there was fine too. I really didn't have a problem with anybody. And the only thing I didn't like was maybe sometimes it was hard to get an answer or knew exactly what you were standing on or what you were doing or what you needed to do because there's just so many opinions. That was probably my biggest complaint about just not enough information. But they're always working on that, and I'm sure they're, they got some. I'm sure they're, whatever. But,
well, you'll be happy to know that the Smashing Pumpkins have won a Grammy.
Okay, so they won a Grammy.
And a couple MTV Movie Awards.
Okay, all right, we'll see. He knows people.
Yeah. So I mean, they had a few more
Do you
albums.
think he has like the astronaut trophy or the popcorn one? Remember there was like the two?
I hope it's the popcorn. I always hated the astronaut one. I don't know what.
Right.
I wasn't a big fan of that one, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Snoop never won a Grammy.
Well, and look at him.
Yeah, I mean he's not running our show, but
No.
I mean he could.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying he never won a Grammy. I mean he's pretty popular, so that's fine.
I would say so. Yeah. Now I mentioned in the beginning of the show that you are one of the great big men in wrestling, and I don't mean that derogatory. I mean that when you look at you, you think, okay, he's going to be able to he's strong, but he's not going to be able to move, and it's the opposite with you. I definitely think that you're the same caliber as men like Bam Bam Bigelow and some of my favorites. And I think you need that in wrestling, and you mentioned that in the beginning of the interview as well. Who were some of the big men that you gravitated towards, that you looked up to in wrestling?
I was more fascinated with the tough guys.
Okay.
Paul Orndorff, big fan. Like, just the sun rises and set on him, man. Like when I thought he won the heavyweight championship against Hulk Hogan in the steel cage match, I cried. I was crying because I was so sure his feet hit first. And I was so sure. And this is, and I wasn't allowed to watch it after that for a while because I wasn't allowed to stay up that late anyways. I snuck up to stay up, and I woke the house up because I was crying because he was robbed. It's not fair. And I hated Hulk Hogan. I never really liked him after that, I hope. But like Big John and Stud and King Kong Bundy, I always liked Ole Anderson style. And I was a big fan of Double A, and I liked the American Dream just based off his character and the way he always fought. He always fought hard. Mm-hmm. And he was good on the mic. But I love the Islanders, I love the British Bulldogs, Powers of Pain, Legion of Doom. I mean, I was just a fan of power wrestling, big suplex fan. But I also respect the movements, and I never wanted to do anything when I played ball. I never wanted to be a good big guy. Oh, you're fast for a big guy. That's like being, I can't even, can I say that saying anymore? I don't think you can. Well, I'll just go with this one. That's like being a one-legged runner. Like, he's real fast for a one-legged runner. Doesn't mean much. So.
Yeah.
And Double A and Bill DeMont and Dr. Tom Pritchard and Steve Kern and some of the trainers I've had, they always let me train and work. Like, I was always trying to work a guy at Double A side. And use my size as a strength when it's needed. I never wanted to work that way. I mean, I throw more suplexes than, probably. I mean, if you look at some of the other guys, and I don't want to be that big guy who does the same thing every night when he comes out.
Yeah.
There's a good example of guys who go out there. I think Big Show continues to go out there and and change the game a little bit. Or at least he did it for a while. I haven't watched him recently, but but I never wanted to work that way. I think there's some of the guys who've gotten away with that, and I call it working lazy. And they want to be that guy. So, and I still train, and my trainer will tell you, whenever I'm training, I'm still in my mind competing with the other big guys. And I'm thinking, if I'm tired or I'm beat up for sore from traveling, I'm thinking, did Big Show train today? He probably did. So I'm, that's why in my mind, did Mark Henry lift today? And continue, did this train today? That's, what I'm saying? That's how I'm still competing with them, even though I'm not necessarily working with them or going to be working with them. But, that's how I prepare myself, is I'm always thinking the other guy's not taking the day off.
Well, and I think
I post all my workout stuff, in my training stuff. I post all that on Instagram and stuff. So, and the way my body's changed over the years, it just, I look more like I was playing ball now than I was, because I had to come down a lot of weight when I got back to WWE. So I was almost 500 pounds on it. So I got down. So I dropped a lot. 155, 60 pounds, got down, and then built back up. training and stuff. So, and I just recently broke my old bench record, so we were excited about that. So, and the squat and stuff like that, and being a guy in the 2-ton club, right on the top 10 at Hard Knock South is a tremendous honor.
And once again, what I'm hearing from you is that you're constantly trying to challenge yourself, constantly trying to be better. I can't speak on it because I don't know everybody. I'm not going to the shows like you are, but it seems like you really have a passion about this and want to continue to grow as a human and as a wrestler.
Yeah, coming out and dancing my way down the ring and wrestling for 3 minutes, I could very well get away with that and have a decent career, but I wouldn't look myself in the mirror.
Yeah.
My goal still is to be a champion at some point. So I'm training like that. And it has paid off for me in terms of like just all around reception and stuff like that. And I don't talk, and maybe it's my fault that I don't brag too much about my wrestling and stuff like that, but I was Suits Destroyer in the real world, in the really real world. And being a bodyguard in some of the toughest clubs in LA and stuff like that. For a while, I didn't know what it was like to fight one person because I used to have to fight 3-4 guys a night. It's crazy. And the guys I work with to this day still tell the stories like it's a thing just out of respect. So, so wrestling's a little bit different, but that tough mentality that I've always had, like whether it would be to get through college, to play football well, I'm saying I pretty much grew up on my own, so I always took care of self. So, that's my mentality, and I continue to carry that. Like, I have a chip on my shoulder, but I have to because it's the only way I know how to improve.
Well, and
worst thing you can ever tell me is good job.
Yeah. I want to ask this, and I have my thoughts on it, but why do you think that professional wrestling is not only still relevant today, but important in the world of entertainment?
Because the essential story has never changed. It's good guy versus bad guy. Good guy usually wins at the end. And we are a gladiator society. We like fights. We like aggressiveness. We like dominance. And wrestling is all those things. And at the same time, we like the flair for the dramatic. The reason why wrestling still is such a big deal because you get it every week. You don't have to wait 6 months like boxing. Or, in UFC, the guys can't hang around long enough or keep their nose clean or whatever the hell is going on with them. Like, they can't keep enough of their stuff. And their stuff's so physical, like, you'll only have a star for, a year or two, maybe if you're lucky, Whereas WWE, it's tradition, and you'll have your, barring any major injuries, you'll have a superstar for 5 to 10 years, maybe even longer. So it's a long time to build fans, and they grow up in it. Their family grows up. It's family. It's tradition. It's no different than the NFL or the NBA or Major League Baseball. The WWE and professional wrestling in general is part of American history and culture.
Now, I want to say that you have undoubtable charisma. It was kind of tapped into whenever you were in the WWE and you were able to be the Funkasaurus. And you mentioned a lot of those guys that were maybe some of your influences growing up. And to me, it seems like a lot of those guys back then were not only physically imposing, but they were also, it was almost like a psychological undertone. They could come out and do what you say, is not really even say anything and still be imposing.
In our room, yeah. And that's kind of what I'm doing now, yep.
And do you like being able to have different layers of your character and, you can turn on the Funkasaurus if you want, or be that imposing bodyguard or wrestler. Is that really what you wanted with your character?
I think that is more like regular people than we all have two sides, sometimes three. I can laugh and smile with just about anybody, and then as soon as I don't like somebody, that stuff goes away. Like the whole challenge of Tyrus was not to be compared to Brodus Clay at all.
Yeah.
And we've done that so far, and it keeps turning up. And it used to be, 70-30, I go somewhere, and I'll be 90-10, Brodus Clay, right? And then, the last few months, but hey, it's Tyrus, So, in bringing that character and changing like a new life or whatever, because I could have incorporated it, a lot of guys change the name a little bit, and then they're the same character in a different place. I wanted a whole new beginning, and TNA was willing to let me do that. And we're just kind of going from there. So, because every time I open my mouth, people are hoping I'm going to say something cool or funny. So I decided not to open my mouth for a while until I felt the time's right. And in doing that, it's made an interesting dynamic with me and EC3. So and I'm having a lot of fun with that. But just a new character, a new way needs to be completely different, and not a lot of guys can do it. That's the challenge. Can I make Tyrus as relevant as Brodus Clay without the machine? That's the challenge.
And it's difficult sometimes for wrestling fans to imagine this or realize this, but EC3 is a perfect example of somebody who was not doing so great in WWE, not because of him, but because of creative or whatever you want to say, and now is thriving in TNA. Kurt Angle is now officially in TNA longer than he was in his WWE career and is still doing great things. So I definitely think that there's the chance that you'll be just as well renowned as Tyrus is as Brodus. So I think that's cool for me to see anyway. But you were definitely a part of several movies. Any chance that we're going to see you in any other films or TV or anything?
Yeah, I recently did stand up at the House of Blues in New Orleans. I killed it, but I did it not as a wrestler. I know there's a lot of wrestlers doing stand-up comedy and they tell wrestling jokes, and to me that's whack as hell because I'm just wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And I did very well with that. And then I'm actually negotiating right now in a movie. I got 2 coming up this summer. So, yeah, and that's the one thing that's nice about being your own guy. You can basically pick and choose projects or whatever. So, yeah, I got some stuff that's coming out, and I'm working on some other stuff. And I have a TV show in the works. We're still, can't find out the details or whatever. So, yeah, I'm definitely staying busy. But my biggest thing right now, my biggest focus has just been killing myself in the gym and getting my wrestling game tight. So, and I've been able to do that and continue to do that, and it continues to open doors and stuff.
Do you think that you mentioned that you broke your own personal records and stuff? Has that been the highlight of 2015 for you so far?
So far, yes, and it's early.
Yes, absolutely.
So and I'm pretty proud of the beard.
Yeah, your beard game. I'm telling you.
And if anybody asks, it's the Abe Lincoln look.
Okay. Well, he was a wrestler too, Yes,
yeah, and he doesn't have a mustache either, so that makes us different. So the Abe Lincoln look.
The Abe Lincoln look. I'm gonna next time I go to the barber, I'm gonna say, "Give me the Abe."
Yeah, it's a beard with no mustache.
So there's a lot of wrestling superhero correlation out there. A lot of people like wrestling like superheroes. Are you a superhero guy?
Yeah, big comic fan, and spent a lot of time Marvel, and I've been called A-bomb a lot lately, and I'll take that. I get lately with some of my list of videos that are getting the Hulk references and stuff like that, but Abomination's more my speed. I like Tyrus is A-bomb, but Tyrus Smash, hashtag Tyrus Smash gets a lot of play too. So, huge Venom fan, Incredible Hulk all day long. Trying to think who else. I go see every Avenger movie. I go do all that stuff. I go see movies. That's when I'm not playing with my fish tanks and stuff. Lifting weights, I go to movies. So, yeah, I'm in all that. The best thing about being a wrestler and a professional athlete and stuff was I just got basically, for the most part, got to stay being a big kid. And allows me to do that. And comic books they're a great read. And I would say to parents who ever have issues with their kids reading comic books, they're reading something, and they're a lot better than you think.
Absolutely. Now, so I guess it's safe to say you will be seeing the Age of Ultron this week.
Oh yeah, I got my tickets.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
You know what? I'll tell you a funny story real quick. I went to see Iron Man 3 with no, my bad. It was Avengers.
Okay.
And I saw it with Kavita, a.k.a. Camacho Malik. He was on a date. Didn't tell me he was on a date, so I was kind of pissed about it because I was like third wheel. And Xavier was with him. And Xavier is a hardcore comic guy.
Yep.
I love Xavier. But Xavier can be a little bit excitable. And I'm not really feeling that when I'm at the movies, right?
Yep.
And they did, at the end of the movie or whatever, they did a thing, and they got the Thanos clip, right?
Yep.
And I was like, oh, damn, Thanos. And as I turned to see Xavier, he was gone because he jumped from his seat to the railing of the thing and was jumping up and down and screaming, Thanos is here. Oh, my God, they did it right. And he was like screaming at the top of his lungs how excited he was, and I literally was just pulling my hat. And I wore my hat backwards. I had to turn it around and pull it frontward and just try to get the hell out of there because all of a sudden people were like, oh, it's playing Xavier, what is this? I'm not with him. Like,
yep.
I'm not, I just wanted to watch the show. He's a hardcore comic guy.
I think
And
I think I can pull this all together here in one fail swoop. But if I'm wrong, it's gonna just make me look so stupid. But I'm gonna go for it anyway. You were just in Qatar, you said.
Yep.
There was a lot of wrestlers with you. I think one of them was M-Dog 20, Matt Cross.
I believe so, yeah.
He made a cameo in Avengers.
Well, there you have it.
So, I mean, it wasn't a huge revelation, but I mean, that's what I did there. I just brought that all around.
Nice job. That's fine journalism right there.
Yeah, well, I do my homework. I try to anyway.
Yeah, and you got the information on Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I do now. I try to make these good for everybody, but I want to. I know you're very busy. I want to try to get this wrapped up, and I want to just ask you. Really, as a fan of professional wrestling, you had to have some certain things whenever you first got in, and whether it was, making it to WWE and then, being on a WrestleMania, winning a championship. What were the things that you wanted to do in the business that you still want to do in this business?
One, win a major title, obviously. I think that you would want that to happen at some point. I've been a champion in professional sports and college and stuff, so I think that's just why do it if that's not what you want to be? I think I could add an awesome style to that. Same time, having more career-defining matches, more cage matches, more dog collar matches, more things. To be a first, like win a tournament, things like that. I mean, just continue to expand and change the game. Have my own Piper's Pit, you know what I'm saying? Just something. And have my mark on it, and then at some point, when I'm done, in the ring, get on the stick and do some color stuff. So, that's kind of like the stuff I want to do or whatever. Just more career defining stuff.
I think I already came up with it once again. I'm on fire today. Talking with Tyrus.
I love it.
Lightning round.
EC3.
Paycheck.
Dixie Carter.
Nice.
Naomi.
Star.
Cameron.
Naomi.
Bill DeMott.
Coach.
John Cena.
Gentleman.
And Ricardo Rodriguez.
Best manager in the business.
I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. I can say this about anybody that comes on the show because I'm at heart a fan, but it was an absolute pleasure talking to you today. I think that we've only seen the tip of Tyrus, and I know that sounds a lot dirtier than I'd imagined it was going to sound.
Just keep moving with that.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I think that you're awesome, and you tell it like it is, and it's a breath of fresh air, really, in this business. Good luck on everything, and anytime that you'd like to come back, we would absolutely love to have you.
Yep, hit me up anytime, man. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much, and watch him on everywhere. Is there any place that you're going to be? I should have. See, I'm so terrible.
I'll be. Oh yeah, I mean, TNA's got TV tapings coming up. We're live. I think May 8th. So come check it out, and come to Orlando. Come check out the show, and then look for me on Twitter and Instagram. My Twitter handle is at Brodus Clay. Underneath is Tyrus, and it's verified. And then my Instagram is BrodusRillo101, and it's me in a TNA shirt throwing a golden ball. So, and that's where I put all my stuff and inquiries and bookings and things like that. That's the best way to get a hold of it.
Well, obviously, a great person to talk to. He is doing big things right now. There's another big today. Thank you so much for being on the show, Tyrus. We would love to have you back anytime. And, we have the luxury now of looking back, and we could have said that the Brodus Clay gimmick may have not went over very well because he's this giant and he's out there dancing.
Yeah.
But he made it work and did really well with it. But do you think that there's anybody out there who was billed as this giant? They looked the part, but they just didn't go over well as giants.
Well, the first and foremost, the Giant Gonzalez. Let's get this out of the way, shall we?
Please do. Make it quick.
I mean, I don't know. I think I put myself back in that time of seeing him, and I didn't really question it. Like, I knew he was wearing some kind of bodysuit and whatnot, and as a kid, I didn't question it. I was like, all right, I'm watching, I get it. But now as an adult, like, granted, he might not have had the muscles, but couldn't we have put him in something else to make him look threatening? It was just that suit. That suit killed him, man. I think, and that's it. And if he didn't have that suit, I think he might have been fine. He could have been. I don't know. It's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't scenarios. To what do you put him in? Does it work? Does it not work? And whoever was the focus group on this suit is, I don't know. They're probably long out of the job by now, but
it was the 90s. I'll say that. I do remember watching WrestleMania 9, and he came out and he fought The Undertaker, and the thing that just kept getting me was how much taller he was than The Undertaker.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had some good perspective. The Undertaker's coming out and fighting these guys, and you're thinking, wow, he's really tall and big. And then Giant Gonzalez comes out, and I just kept thinking, this guy's got stilts. Like, he's walking on stilts. There's nobody that can be this tall. He didn't talk a lot. When he did, it was a lot of noises and stuff. And basically, in my mind, that is when people talked about Bigfoot, that was Bigfoot. That's what you would see out in the wilderness somewhere or whatever. But you're totally right. The fur that was glued to his private parts,
man.
Yeah, that's something.
Like I said, it was probably a good idea on paper, but not when actually he debuted. And it was probably one of those things they didn't really get to test until he went out there for the first time. And then it's like, crap, we can't just take it off him now. We got to keep it on him every show.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was one of those things. Is maybe good back then. Now it's probably really horrible. But even then, you think they could have came up with a better idea than what they did. But yeah, that's some guy I think who should have probably had something different in his life, and I don't know how the result would have turned out, but yeah, that's one giant. I mean,
you think about that time frame, and we had this gentleman on as a guest. It was none other than Typhoon Tugboat, Fred Ottman. That he's a great guy, but they took him and they made him Typhoon because of Earthquake.
Yeah.
So it kind of made sense, the natural disasters, but it was so gimmicky. Earthquake, I get. Earthquake can jump up and down, it shakes the ground. Okay, I get it. But
Typhoon.
did
I
he
spray
like
water on you and blow you off.
yeah, well, yeah,
geez. I forget what it.
Yeah, sorry, Fred, if you're listening. So aside from blowing people, like what was the thing with Typhoon? You know, like
I know, I
did
hear
he
you.
flood the arena? Like
It was like, I know he's coming from tugboat, so like, what's the next thing? The tugboat's in the water. What's in the water? There's a typhoon. And I get it. You know what I mean? To like, hey, they didn't even have anybody have a hurricane name back then. I'm surprised they didn't give him the hurricane and
well, like avalanche. I mean, like
Yeah.
I mean that would have made just as much sense, except you know, like, and then they could have had snowfall from the ceiling. I don't know,
to be a fly on the wall in those meetings where they came up with the name would have been great.
I gotta name him Tugboat. That's my really poor Vince McMahon impersonation.
All right, he's not tugboat. He's now Typhoon.
We're gonna give him a singlet with a wave on it, and he's now Typhoon.
Man, poor Giants.
Yeah. Well, and you know, going back a little bit, I remember collecting the Hasbro figures.
Yes, I have 'em.
They're the 6-inch figures that had like springs in their arms, and it was like the honky tonk punch or the Macho Man elbow, but whatever. And the one like I said, it's been said a million times. I'm from the Midwest. I lived in Indiana. I made my mom travel to Clarksville, Indiana. There was a huge mall there. It was called like River Falls Mall. And I'll never forget it. I went to KB Toys.
KB.
Yeah. Everybody Google that if you don't know what a KB Toys is. And we traveled for, it was a good hour to find this one action figure.
Mom.
No, it was not, Hulk Hogan. It was not the Ultimate Warrior. It wasn't even my favorite Ravishing Rick Rude. It was Akeem. So, Mom, if you're listening, thank you once again for helping me, complete my collection. But what happened? Akeem. He was a giant.
I can see this now. Like I see this long video. Like it's like this destination travel show. You're traveling on the road late at night. 3 hours later, you've reached KB Toy Store, and then like it zooms into the aisle of the toys, and boom. Hakeem is the only one left to get.
Yeah, and there was probably like 30 of them there, and like everybody else was trying to get Warrior or Dusty Rhodes or whatever, but that was the one that I had to have, so.
It's okay. I had an Hakeem too, so it's okay.
I think most of us
We need the
did,
Hakeem
but-
support group. It's okay, man. You got the Hakeem too.
Yeah, I'm just glad that there was, like one and done. They didn't like put out like 6 versions of Akeem, but even though he had like 2 dashikis, he had the yellow one and then like the blue one, and I really would have appreciated the blue one, but we got that later in the Jack Pacific Classic line, so whatever.
This guy, he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, man, Akeem, but he was also the one-man gang, Jonathan. Did you get the one-man gang figure or no?
That was LJN, and I'm pretty sure I had it. The thing with that, though, is that this tells you have a guy, it's the 80s when he debuted as one-man gang. He's a huge guy. He carries around a big chain. He's got a mohawk, a biker vest. Believable.
Yeah.
Totally believable. I believe that the one-man gang can beat up anybody thrown in that ring. However, flash forward 10 years, and he comes out with Slick, the Doctor of Stizile, and it's totally not believable.
I know, yeah. It was just another one of those creative meetings.
And then they say, Akeem, you're not ridiculous enough. We're going to throw you with Big Boss Man, and we're going to call you guys the Twin Towers. And that's when things just went like bananas. And, Akeem looked like a giant banana, but that's just, like you're saying, a fly on the wall. I don't get how it happens, but
when these big guys come in, like you have to understand, like you can't picture Rey Mysterio as beating up giants. Like, come on, you got to go back to the days of like, Jack and the Beanstalk. Jack outwitted the giant, but you know what I mean? He didn't pin him 1, 2, 3 or threw him over his shoulders how many times. The giants have to stay giants or else they become jokes. And right now, like we talked earlier in the show, the state of the giants now is almost jokes, man. There's nobody that's unstoppable besides Brock Lesnar. Brock hasn't been pinned yet, and that's the only thing, I don't know, getting more disgusted.
So, Steve, I want you to calm down. I know you're getting a little heated right now. You're a little upset about the state of giants and how They ain't like they used to be. But let's get into this. Let's talk about some of your favorite Giants.
Oh, definitely. Finally, some relief from all this giant negativity. Andre the Giant, Jonathan. Andre the Giant is definitely my favorite, all-time favorite. I have a damn figure of him sitting in my room of just, being in his giantness. There is nobody like him. I don't think there ever will be anybody else like him unless they find that rare, clover in the field or whatever. I don't. That's a diamond in the rough. I don't know these things, but there's never. I don't think ever going to be a big guy in the sport like that again. And he was just a sight to see. You know what I mean? You never seen this guy this huge, that big. I'm not going to state all his stats on how tall or how much he weighed or whatever. You know how big he was. But when he, nobody pinned him, nobody tossed him, nobody, picked him up or whatever. And when it happened, it was such a, oh my God moment. Oh my gosh. Oh my, what the heck just happened? That's the feeling they need with the Giants, and that's what they need to use him for. So Andre, back then was great. And when he did it, when he let Hogan, pick him up, twice at WrestleMania, to slam him, that was the moment, because you think of it so a silly moment, he just picked him up, but that was the big deal. He was the Giant. You picked him up, it's like slaying the Giant. That was it, man. And they lose that nowadays because it's like they want him to dance and run around and whatnot. So I mean, Andre is probably one of the best, one of my favorite Giants ever.
I do have a little beef with Andre just because had I've been born like a couple years earlier, I would have probably been named the seventh wonder of the world and not Andre. So that's a little bit of a beef. And Andre, God rest his soul, he doesn't understand why I'm upset with him. But we keep going. One of my favorites has to be Yokozuna. He's a WWE Hall of Famer now. Just frightening. As
thick, very thick.
He like personified like a human whale. I mean, he's just huge. And they used to show all the vignettes of like him just eating, like him and Mr. Fuji. My Yokozuna, and oh my God, it was the greatest thing ever. But Yokozuna was a believable Giant. No one could pick him up.
No,
and he could have punched somebody in the head, and that could have been his finishing move. But no. He drags you into the corner and sits on you. You're a badass whenever that's your finishing move, is just sitting on somebody. But Yokozuna, totally believable, even though he was not Asian. He was Samoan.
Man, I never knew that until later on in life.
Yeah.
That was crazy. But yeah, I mean, he's the Japanese. I assume it. He's got that he's got the hair kind of, you got the look. Well, whatever. Still an impressive big guy. One of the guys I never really got to see in his heyday, except for if I just look on old videos, but Gorilla Monsoon, one of my favorite broadcasters ever, has to be recognized as one of my favorite Giants. I mean, with him and Bobby the Brain Heenan did, nobody can never touch again. I mean, you can even say throw Jerry Lawler and whoever else and Jim Ross, but whatever. I think Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan were probably my favorite announced team ever. And I mean, he was an impressive big guy. He has a position named after him, the gorilla position. I
used that on my girlfriend today.
Anyway, he's pretty.
Get it? It's like
no,
I put her in the gorilla position.
But yeah, I don't even know what to go on. But Gorilla Monsoon was one of my other favorite Giants.
Well, Gorilla Monsoon. See, this is a perfect
Monsoon.
Exactly.
The son of Gorilla Monsoon could have been Typhoon.
It could have been. It could have been monsoon season.
That's
all
it,
up
man.
in this piece.
That could have been the finishing move.
I would be remiss if I didn't speak about somebody who was a recent, within the past 20 years, Giant, and he was Psycho Sid Justice, whatever you want to call him. He was a legit big man. He would look right into the eyes of The Undertaker, which was kind of my measuring stick of a Giant back then. But he was psycho, dare I say, and that was another thing. For me, it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're 8 foot tall, but you have to be believable, and you have to have something about you. Whether you're unhinged or you're a voodoo priest, I don't care. Whatever you are, that's what you've got to be. And Psycho Sid was absolutely played the part and was one of my all-time favorite Giants.
He was probably one of the most in shape Giants too. I mean, like you look at Andre, he's big. Look at a Big Show, he's big. But like him, he looked like a big version of He-Man. Like he was like he was the fit giant, pretty much, the blonde fit giant.
Yeah, that hair though. He had like a perm for days. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, but yeah, man. I mean, we talked a lot about Giants, Jonathan. The good, the bad, the big, the giant.
This was a giant-sized show, as we stated.
Community calendar.
June 27th.
That's right, Jonathan. June 27th, the New England Fan Fest. 1 year ago. That's where we kind of got into it, Jonathan.
It all begins again.
That's it. We come full circle. June 27th, 2015, guys. Go to newenglandfanfest.com. New England Fan Fest is Northeast's premier pro wrestling convention and fan experience. It gives fans an opportunity to meet, take pictures with, and get autographs from their favorite pro wrestling stars of yesterday and today. The New England Fan Fest will also feature tons of great merchandise for sale, guys, ranging from vintage to current. There's even going to be VIP ticket packages, Jonathan, deluxe photo ops, Q&A sessions, and other great events. Guys, get on newenglandfanfest.com. Pick up your tickets right now. 1 year ago, this week, this time, you guys listening to this is the 1 year anniversary of the shows, Another Wrestling Podcast.
And if you're listening to this in 2016 or 2017, it's not as impressive as what we're making it out to be right now.
I'll just have to go back and re-edit that out.
Yeah. Well, we would love to thank you for listening to Another Wrestling Podcast. Once again, if you want to find out more about Another Wrestling Podcast, here's the best way to do so. Get on anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. It's kind of our umbrella. It has everything in it, on it, underneath it. You can find out where we like to eat.
The mothership.
What our favorite breakfast food is.
All that stuff.
All that stuff is not on there really. But you can find out our Twitter. You can find out our Facebook, YouTube, where the shows are, where you can listen to us live. But we will be live at the New England Fan Fest, and we encourage all of you to come out and say hello to us.
We want to thank you guys for listening today. Every week we create something for you to listen to, and it's absolutely free. We are the Wrestling Fans Podcast, because after all, we're fans also. Help us out by subscribing to our show on iTunes. While you're there, you can rate us and give us a good review.
If you're looking for more AWP, then head on over to anotherwrestlingpodcast.com to find out more about upcoming guests and where we may pop up. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and buy an official AWP shirt from ProWrestlingTees.com. We couldn't do the show without you, so please tune in next week for
Another Wrestling Podcast.